Stretch part 2 went over an hour. It happens. He'll be logging on in a moment. Yeah, listening to Stretch Armstrong, an amazing Sade story. The highlight of his DJing career, he said, which I have to agree. What's up, Peter Paul? Hey, Sydney.
I didn't change my clothes. That would have been a good.
Listen, I'm mad I didn't either. I'm mad. Wait, so first of all, somebody asked what your Netflix your documentary is called, and it's Stretch and Bobbito, radio that changed lives, right?
Right. Yeah, we like long titles. Yeah.
Yes. So that's the name of the documentary, which I saw on Netflix. So I like in my head, it's Netflix.
It's not on Netflix anymore.
Yeah, I know. Where's it available now?
Just all streaming sites, iTunes, Vimeo, YouTube. Just Google it, people.
Yeah, but I suggest everyone see it because, like you said, it's a documents a moment in time that is very unique. And I remember like all those artists being in it, and all those clips and things, and they weren't signed yet, which is the brilliance of it all. I mean, they were newer artists at the time, and they all went on to be huge stars.
Yeah, and it's cool because they're all in the movie in 2015 or 2014 when we made it. They all sat with us. It took a lot of cajoling, particularly with Jay and Nas, because they have like layers of people you got to get through. And it wasn't easy. It was frustrating. But once we ended up in the same room with them, like, Jay's like executive assistant was in the room with us at Rockefeller. And she was like, look, this is when Tidal launched, and like, things were like sketchy, and like he was really, hands-on. And she said, look, you've got 15 minutes of his time. He sat with us for like over an hour and had a great time. Same with Nas. We were at Spare Room and at the Roosevelt, and we just kicked it for like 2 hours, and it's great. All of these conversations are they go way beyond what you see in the documentary, and we're thinking that one day we should maybe like break out these interviews into like long form and another thing.
Just in 2015, maybe that's a good idea. Also, but they all did it because they respected what you did then. They all sat down with you as, Jay-Z's one of the biggest stars on the planet at the moment. I always say too, I remember I was doing the door at Cheetah, and Jay-Z used to come as like a rapper. Jay-Z was like a rapper, and I would tell him like he would come with 8 guys. I'd tell him 4 could come in, and he'd be like, okay. Now Jay-Z, it's like, the biggest man, the biggest, I don't know, like biggest star on the planet, basically.
Yeah, but I think for the most part, the opportunities that we gave these artists, I mean, one, they're not forgotten, but also those moments are, represent a really special time in these artists' careers. I mean, for a lot of them, just being on our show was like a milestone. It was almost like they made it. Like we're on Stretch and Bob, and so I think like we're talking about indelible moments. I mean, those were for them. Nas was telling us how, I was talking about how much like we revered Nas, but like he revered us. Like when he wrote Illmatic, he was listening. He said in the movies, like, I wrote a lot of Illmatic listening to your show. We were like, what? So it was like this mutual kind of admiration that sometimes was awkward, but whether it was or it wasn't, it kind of it made those moments super meaningful for the people that lived them.
Yeah, of course. Okay, that's a good point. I never thought about that. Those are career-defining moments for those people as well, being on your show. I asked you what your big break was. That could have been some of these artists' big breaks. Being on your show, and they could go on to then get signed and then have these huge albums and things. Yeah, I never thought about
Roberts, that way. What up? Shazam, what up?
What up? What up, Frank Roberts? Okay, so I want to talk about your book. I remember when you told me about your book before, when you were kind of working on it, and I remember thinking that's so crazy. So basically, you have a book. It's called No Sleep, New York City Nightlife Flyers. And let me ask you this: did you have all those flyers? Those are all your own personal flyers?
No, as we get older and we start to look at all the stuff we have, and we wonder like what does this mean? What are we supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
And I was looking at a lot of flyers, and thought, oh, I think there's a book here. There's a story to tell. So not all the flyers are mine, but I would say the general kind of outline of the book represents things that were either important to me or things that I did.
Yep.
So, for instance, like all the club kid stuff, like that wasn't my scene. I wasn't a part of it, but obviously it was super important to New York City nightlife culture, so it had to be included. And you know, once I realized that this was going to be something that I wanted to do, then I just went about looking for people that might have collections. Of course, since the book came out, I've been finding more and more people that have all kinds of stuff. Some of them are people that I should have known to reach out to, but when you're making a book under deadline, you're really shaking and baking. And
you're focused.
When you make a book or a movie that documents culture, like you're always going to be able to do a better version of it, you know, 4 or 5 years later. That's just the reality.
When you're not in it, when you're like looking at it from the outside in, not the inside out. Well, first of all, I always thought when you told me, I thought it's such a brilliant concept. And I was under the assumption that those are all your flyers. I was like, what a psycho. He has all those flyers still.
No, but I did keep a lot of flyers. And
I
didn't know why, but then finally I realized, and I was
smart.
My own future.
Smarter than you look. Yeah, exactly.
No,
because I was thinking about myself, saying like, what do I keep? I basically keep pictures of myself. Like I'm like, what do I? I have a bunch of pictures of myself. Like I have like, if I'm on the flyer, I keep it. But I'm like, you know, I'm like, what do I have? I'm like, I really was like, you know, what could I do? A bunch of photos of me. Okay, so I want to talk about obviously the originals is another kind of brilliant concept, and the originals, you know, for maybe those that if anyone doesn't know, is a kind of like, you know, new up-and-coming DJ D Nice. Maybe people have heard of him. I don't know. Like Clark Kent, Rich Medina, Tony Touch, and you.
Yeah.
And basically the concept is the original DJs getting back together to do these amazing parties. How did it, like, who came up with the concept or how did it come about?
Yeah, well, first of all, like, we needed a name because, all right, it came about because there was, when Sandy hit, I and some other people decided that we should, you know, use our tools to try to help the community. And what do we know how to do? We know how to DJ. So we teamed up with a nonprofit, and we threw a benefit at Santos Party House. In addition to the 5 DJs you just mentioned, it was also Q-Tip and Mos Def came through. And when we threw a party that was just insane, and it felt like a real throwback party to when the best people in New York were compelled to go out, right? It's not like that anymore. Like, you know, people go out, don't go out, stay home, go out, whatever. Back then,
watch on your IG stories, watch the party from your home, that kind of thing. You know, like.
So we did that party, and then I think I'm not sure who said, "Oh, we should keep doing this." I actually think it was Santos Party House. They reached out to us, was like, "Hey, you guys want to do this again?" So we decided to do a monthly. We needed to call it something, and we ended up calling it The Originals, which is not a name to suggest that we are like the most OGs. It's more about our individual musical perspectives. The amazing thing about the 5 of us is we all DJ so differently. Yeah. And that is super cool. And yeah. But what's even cooler about it is that in addition to throwing a really great party, which has been going on almost 8 years now, only interrupted by the pandemic, is that the 5 of us, although many of us have known each other for a long time, Clark and D Nice know each other from the 80s when D Nice was in Boogie Down Productions. I became friends with Clark in 1990. Everyone's known everybody to different degrees, but over the last 8 years, the 5 of us have become really close friends. And you know, as you know how it is, as you get older, like it's harder and harder to get new friends. I mean, we shed a lot of friends, but we don't necessarily replace those friends. And And it's just been great to like form this brotherhood with four great guys who are also amazing DJs.
What's interesting, a couple things, because so the originals is not about being the originals of hip hop DJing, but it's about original approaches to DJing. That's how I look at it. You
Yeah.
five original
Exactly.
approaches to DJs. Then also, it is really obvious that you guys are really close. It's very obvious, like, just watching it all, that you guys either, I don't know that you weren't close before, but it's really obvious that you guys are very close. So.
Yeah. Well, D-Nice was a new friend when we started that, but we became friends really quickly. Clark is like a big brother to me, a mentor, a big brother. I mean, he was an idol of mine. Now he's like family. I mean, it's. I feel incredibly lucky to have that friendship with him and his family. And Rich Medina and Bobbito are like brothers, and by the transitive property, Rich and I are brothers. He calls me his negative twin.
Very true. Very true.
So it's great. It's great to be able to derive so much joy and friendparty out of
pureness and authenticity and out of love for music. That party is built off of music and nothing else. Guys. Like, it's not really. There's not really more to it. It's like five great DJs.
We don't have a door policy. Anybody can come.
Yeah.
You can buy tickets in advance, and sometimes it's a mess. But it's not a. Listen, I've done super exclusionary parties, and I've done super democratic parties, and this is way more democratic.
Yeah. Well, I would say too, doing the door, it's not a democracy. It never has been. So I mean, like,
Eric
doing the door.
What up, man?
Eric LaPoe said I'm late. What else is new? So, do you have a favorite or like a favorite moment from the originals? Favorite party, favorite moment?
Oh man.
Or highlight?
I don't. My God.
Okay, good. It's good in general. The past 8 years are your highlights. Becoming friends with them is your highlight. All right, I want to ask you a couple fun questions. You're probably not going to do good at these, but
thanks.
If you have to list 5 parties, like 5 best parties of the last 30 years of your life. Nell's could be one of them for sure.
Yeah, Nell's, Trip Tuesdays at Mars. Soul Kitchen. Well, I already said Tribeca Grand Mondays. Is that 4?
That's 4, yeah.
Yeah, and I said what's it called? What's the other one I talked about? Downstairs at Central Fly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You did good. That was good though. You did better than I thought.
Thanks.
If you could invite 4 people to dinner, living or dead, who would they be?
Oh wow. I think they'd be Joe Strummer, Malcolm X, God, who else? Maybe Langston Hughes, and damn, there's got to be a woman in there. Living or dead, you said?
Yeah.
Oh, Sophia Loren.
Good one. Her birthday was just 2 days ago, I think. She just turned 87, I think. And then let me ask you another question. So what inspires you right now in life? Not necessarily like the pandemic, these 6 months, but in general, what inspires you in life, like in this phase in your life?
I mean, specific to now, I would say I'm inspired by a lot of women I know, particularly women of color, who are bearing so much of the brunt of the abhorrent ideas that are not new to this country, but have been seemingly unleashed in a way that I think none of us expected. And of course, not just women, but also our brothers. I've been you know, as someone who has spent a lot of time being, you know, the only white face, learning about sort of, you know, the Black experience has been something that has just been a part of my life. You know, even, you know, as I was a kid, you know, going to a really progressive school, Manhattan Country School, in which civil rights and the real history of America was taught from a very young age. So you know, I like to think of myself as being, you know, more enlightened than the average white person, but I'm still learning. The last few years have been incredibly enlightening. There's a whole new lexicon around racial justice, new ways of looking at things, so many new terms and new points of view, and it's heavy, but it's also it is inspiring, and it's motivational, and it's important.
Very important.
And I'm still trying to figure out how I can be useful as a citizen. It's not easy to figure out. It's something that we have to figure out on our own. I mean, you know, I think right now, particularly Black people are carrying a lot, and it's not their job to teach white people how to use their voices.
I've said that on this show so many times. It is not Black people's problem. It's not Black people's situation. White people need to figure out what they can do. You mean like Black people don't have to tell white people how they can help. Figure it out. I mean,
Black people are bearing the brunt of the problem, and the
yes.
problem is our problem.
Yes, exactly.
And I've had to, unfortunately, when we expect things from other people that we expect of ourselves, we are going to be met with disappointment. And I have been disappointed on a daily basis from, I'm not here to drag anybody, but people very close to me. I'll leave it at that. And it's something that you know, I've got to deal with. This is not something that that I can ignore. And I would say to other people that find themselves in that position, or even in a position where they maybe feel like they don't understand things as much or don't know what to do, to reach out to other white people that you think might, because it's our job to talk to one another and
I agree 100%.
Change minds and hearts.
Yes, this is not, it's not Black people's job to tell white people how they can get involved.
No.
Figure it out as a white person. Yes, I agree with all of that. And that's a great, you know, that's a really great answer. I've asked many people what inspires them, and that was a beautiful answer. Also, what are you grateful for right now in your life?
Oh man, I'm grateful to be a super healthy, thin 50-year-old with a full head of hair. This is my revenge for looking so bananas in the 90s, right? I'm grateful to have amazing friends, to have a healthy family. I have both of my parents in my life still.
Wow.
I have an incredible woman who has my back 120% on a daily basis. Monica, I love you. It's funny. I was a fan of my lady way before we got close. I was kind of stalking her from afar.
I'm a fan of your lady. Like, she's amazing.
There's not much to not like, you know.
I went to your 50th your birthday's coming up, right?
Can you believe it? That was a year ago. I mean, what?
So I came to your 50th, and it was amazing to me because I loved it. It was like, you know, it felt very real or something. And basically, it was the cool kids as cool adults now. You know, it was that, you know, all the cool kids were not cool adults. But it was an amazing party. I loved that party. It was so fun. So.
That was the best birthday I could ever have. It was amazing. I'm also thankful and grateful to have a partnership with Bobbito that has lasted 30 years. to celebrate our anniversary this fall, we have music coming out. Music people have never heard by Biggie, by Jay-Z, by Wu-Tang, by Nas. I mean, it's like we've got so much shit coming that I mean, it's nuts. And the music, it's the kind of music that puts goosebumps on your arms and legs. And we've got a lot of stuff planned, and unfortunately got a little bit derailed by COVID. So we're not sure how much of that stuff is going to happen, but we do have music, and you know, we've been doing our little Thursday night Instagram live, which everyone who listens to that knows that we've been teasing the announcement about us being on a new platform. We're going to be on a worldwide platform starting in October.
Oh, amazing! Congratulations.
That's exciting, and you know, Bob is my brother, and you know, brother from another mother, and it's just amazing that you know, we're still. I mean, we took a good 15 years off, but we've been back since 2014, and we're going strong. We might break up again. Who knows?
Yeah, you're like one of those like 80s rock bands that broke up and got back together. You know, you're like.
Yo, Eric, that's not a Mini Cooper. That's a Fiat Cinquecento.
Dante said he's so funny, by the way.
Hip hop. Dante is. All right, let's talk about friends that we're grateful for. Dante and I have become, you know, Dante and I have known each other for 30 years, but over the last 5 years, we've actually become really good friends, and that's great. I love talking to Dante. I love seeing how he's evolved as he's gotten older, and he's so smart. He's got great stories, and his accomplishments are incredible. And I can't wait for his book to come out, because it's he's had just a really, Dante's had, you know, he's had a front seat to so much incredible shit. I remember meeting Dante the first time, and you know, I was a Upper East Side kid with a sister who went to school downtown, and I knew, like, I would just hear stories about Dante from my sister, and then when I met him, I was like, yeah, I'm downtown. I know Dante now.
No, his talk was amazing. It was one of my favorites.
Paul, what up?
And then, okay, so finally, last question. You know, our industry, none of us are really working right now. How can we support you, Stretch? Like, how can we support you at this time?
Well, I don't know. How does one support one now? I mean, I guess everything's happening digitally. So I'm not really pressed to get followers on Instagram, but that's pretty much my website. So whatever I'm doing kind of gets announced there. Yeah, so just look out for the new platform that Bob and I will be on starting next month, and look for the new music and everything else that we've got coming out. For those of you that want the No Sleep book, it's been out of print for a minute. It will be reprinted soon. It hasn't been reprinted because I wanted to change the cover design, and I didn't do that yet, so it's my fault. And also, if anyone is a really good tennis player, so am I. Hit me up. We'll hit.
Thanks for that. All right, so I just want to thank you for doing this. You know, as you know, we're here to celebrate people that have been very important to culture. You've been so committed and so passionate and so authentic, and you know, you're, I don't know, 30 plus years in, you know, the nightclub, or you know, this industry. Thank goodness for Jessica Rosenblum and
Dylan.
Dylan was it name?
Dylan Powell, yeah.
And then Michelle for introducing Sade. Those are the three takeaways from this. So, you know, I just want to, I want to, like, you know, commend you and salute you for, you know, your commitment and your passion for music and culture, and just being authentic the whole time. You know what I mean? So I really want to thank you for all that, and we're celebrating you for that today. So
thank you. I appreciate you having me. It's good to see you. I can't wait to be able to do this kind of thing in real life, whether it's in New York or LA. It's going to happen, and it's going to be glorious when it does.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, my man. Talk soon.
Have a
right?
good night. Thanks.
Later.
Bye.